people don't want it, so people will rebel against it. Therefore, they won't do it. As far as progression of electronics and them going into the body, I think that's absolutely going to happen. It's going to take a long time because the commercialization of implantables is really difficult. A lot of people don't want them, and until you have like that, I guess like the killer app, you'd have to have the killer implant to make everybody want it.
This is Orgadowski of WeAreChange.org here in Miami Beach, Florida. I am actually joined by Seth Wall, who is a special projects engineer, and Seth has actually microchipped himself. Why did you microchip yourself, Seth, first of all?
Well, I was just doing a lot of research about biohacking, and I do a lot of engineering, so I do a lot of stuff in RF, and I thought it was kind of cool to kind of merge two of my things that I really like to do, and actually I don't like to start a project and not take it all the way to the end. So if I see that, hey, this is something RF related and something biohacking related, it mix two passions together, make it something cool, and then I want to go all the way. So I want to put it, actually implant it, actually find cool things to do with it, actually, run with it.
Now, in your kind of RFID chip that you have kind of in your head, you have like a microchip in there that has a Bitcoin wallet, helps you pay, for gas at a gas station. You could actually hack an Android device. Can you talk about some of the capabilities that you kind of enabled yourself by just putting this microchip in there?
Yeah, it allows me to interface with all kinds of systems. So all of your computer systems and stuff like that, this just gives me one way to access them that other people don't have. So like at the gas station, they have these little passes that you can swipe. They're little keychain dongles, and it has an NFC chip in it with information about your account, and it's linked up. So sometimes I got the pass, and I'll go to the gas station. I'll clone that NFC pass off onto my hand, and then I'll go to the guy at the next pump, and I'll be like, hey, man, come check this out. I'll show you how to get free gas. It's going to be awesome. Yeah. So he comes over to the gas pump, and he watches me pump the gas, and then I go up to the thing, and I go, these are not the droids you're looking for. And I put my hand up and, wave it in front of the speed pay scanner. It scans my chip, and then it does all the things. I actually pay for my own gas. I'm not doing anything, but it blows people's mind. They're like, how did you do that? How was that possible? You just waved your hand and it accepted you.
Now, of course, with this kind of advanced technology, there's not only kind of a lot of social dangers, but there's also a lot of medical dangers. Can you just talk about some of the medical dangers people face when they do microchip themselves?
Yeah, it's really dangerous to stab things that aren't supposed to be in your body into your body. So you have to do a lot of testing and a lot of research before you do it. So anything electronic is built using something out of metal, heavy metals. If you stab something in your body, you're going to get heavy metal poisoning, you're going to die. Also, the NFC tags, they're wrapped in a bioglass capsule, and if you don't have the correct one, if you go cheap and you buy the wrong glass, they'll have lead and you get heavy metal poisoning and you die, lead poisoning and you die. Also, sometimes there's toxic epoxies used to hold the chip from rattling around inside the capsule. If you don't use the right one, it's poisonous. If the glass breaks, you can die, and that sucks. Yeah. And then if you don't sterilize the inside of the chip before you seal it, like inside the capsule, you can get bacteria in there. And if you don't sterilize it before you seal it off, then it can colonize and grow and grow and grow like for 10 years, and then you accidentally break the capsule, which is it's not very likely to happen, but if it ever did, you want to have prepared for things that could go wrong. Yeah. So that could happen, and you could have like a whole lot of bacteria inside the capsule that could kill you, and it's just good to responsibly source and manufacture the products that are going inside you. Like, you don't go and buy crappy food. You get the good stuff because it's not going to kill you. Like, eating poison's bad. Don't stab poison into you.
Now, a lot of people talk about the kind of frequencies that are being sent out here. I think there was a study linking tumors in dogs with RFID chips that were implemented underneath their skin. A lot of people also say that just having all these kind of radio frequencies around you is also not healthy. Have you looked into those parameters specifically?
Yeah, I do radio frequency pretty much every day, and that's the main focus of a lot of my work. And I can't verifiably prove that that's not true. Don't quote me in saying that. No, anybody who says that's wrong. Yeah. But the entire planet oscillates, and there's frequencies everywhere. Everything has a frequency. Even if man never made transmitters, all of this radio frequency would still be there. Maybe it's slightly more condensed, like more amplified radio frequencies because we're transmitting, but I believe that the effects on the body would be the same now as they were for the cavemen.
Now, a lot of people point to kind of social dangers because RFID chips started to be used with cattle first to kind of use it. And I kind of feel, and a lot of people out there probably feel like politicians view the people as cattle. The elites kind of view as cattle. So this is kind of what people would call a wet dream for the elites, to have everyone have this kind of RFID chip with that. How do you respond to, people warning about the dangers of this actually kind of occurring and having a government have the capabilities to implant you and control you pretty much, because you could do a lot with that microchip.
Yeah, and you can do a lot with it. And RFID in itself, I don't think that you should get an RFID tag because the read distance is long. You can actually give an amplified signal, and you can get further and further distances on the RFID. The NFC is a different frequency, and the read distance is a couple of centimeters. So you would have to actually put a system in place to get within a couple of centimeters of the chip to read it or write it, and that's different with the RFID, where I could actually set something up, 10 feet over there and get everybody as they pass by. So I can see where the RFID in itself is a very sketchy subject, and I don't think it's a good idea to just let somebody stab you with electronics. Yeah. Do your research, be comfortable with doing it if you're going to do it, or don't do it.
Yeah, many people say this is the mark of the beast, the biblical terms that they're talking about, but it's really just insane how technology is advancing. And also, just like any technology, it's a double-edged sword, and it could be used for good and it could be used for bad. How do you see it kind of going into the future with, because you changed your implant too, because it had a smaller bit capabilities, now has a bigger bit capabilities. How do you see everything advancing, and do you see the likelihood of just government microchipping even possible?
I think it's definitely possible. I think that the public's awareness of it should be high, but I don't think they'll ever do it because there will be an outrage. They know that that's a sketchy a touchy subject. People don't want it, so people will rebel against it. Therefore, they won't do it. As far as progression of electronics and them going into the body, I think that's absolutely going to happen. It's going to take a long time because the commercialization of implantables is really difficult. A lot of people don't want them, and until you have that, I guess the killer app, you'd have to have the killer implant to make everybody want it.
Now, we know in Europe, certain private companies are using this if someone wants to get hired kind of as IDs. Schools are actually doing this as well. How else have you been seeing, because you've been in this field for a very long time, how else are you seeing the implementation of RFID chips?
RFID chips are actually really old technology. I see them really good for tracking supplies, so they could be really good for tracking people. Yeah. But it's about at the end of it's at almost the pinnacle of its usefulness. The only thing I see now is that it's going to go to much more widespread adoption, and because there's very low security in the technology, it really needs to be addressed. That we need to implement more secure ways of building our systems.
Yeah. Because it is really kind of just scary and petrifying knowing that school systems and private companies are using this to track their employees as they're going about their day working, because then they have full control. I mean, just if like a private company implements this, even clubs are doing this in Spain. They have private VIP areas, and if you want to be a private VIP, you need to be microchipped so you can pay for your drinks electronically. But there seems to be a lot of dangers. What do you think are the biggest dangers engulfing RFID chips and microchips, most importantly?
Honestly, it's the biological factors. Anytime you put something in your body, it's really dangerous. So RFID in itself, I don't like it terribly because of the social implementations of you being able to be tracked and everything like that, and people being able to derive analytics based on your use pattern. Because if you put up enough nodes that collect enough information, you can make predictive algorithms about what people are going to do, which is super useful for anybody trying to sell you something or track you or anything like that. But it also allows them to psychologically induce you to do things. I'm not saying like mind control, because it's absolutely not mind control. It's just using human, the way just a human nature to try to push you into doing something that you would normally wouldn't otherwise do. Just like advertising. Advertising does it all the time.
Human data, knowing where you go and knowing what you're doing, knowing what you're buying, then they could psychologically read you and then psychologically abuse you in certain different ways as well.
It's tailoring what you want to you to induce you to do something that you may or may not have done. It just induce a higher likelihood of you actually doing what they want you to do.
Yeah. And that is kind of scary.
It's possible. It's definitely possible that the systems could be used to do that. I think it's a way off before it happens, and it likely will never happen, but it's definitely a possibility.
Did you do this as a way to kind of warn people and to inform them about the possibilities and the dangers of this?
Yeah. This whole project that we've been presenting and everything like that was actually kind of like a trifold, almost a trifold awareness campaign. Biohacking awareness, the safeties, the dangers, what can be done, the limitations. Then there was implantable devices. I want to point out that an implantable device is a possible way for things to be done that shouldn't be done. So you can use an implantable device to hack something like the iPhone, like I just showed in the presentation. The third one is that Android devices have NFC. NFC is vulnerable. Fix NFC.
What happens is if you have an intelligence explosion, what if you create an artificial intelligence that can bootstrap itself into really high levels of intelligence, godlike levels. In fact, some of the people who...
Now, leaving that position, leaving the White House, you came to realize a lot of other corrupt things in our society, a lot of other cover-ups, a lot of other, quote, conspiracies. And I think the biggest one out there is mind control. There's so many theories out there. There's so many people...
Well, you could certainly. Just search it on Google, and it doesn't work. You don't receive any information that you want. So what you need is another researcher. Use the evidence that you're searching for, and that was the name. And that came up with a long list of people that are offering rival services. And that wasn't the question I asked, which was pay to subscribe link. And that wasn't the right question. So I wasted quite a useful amount of time. And the question that gave the right answer was quite different, because I was looking for alternatives to payment, but I didn't ask the people. Right, as a passenger didn't pay his fare.
But intelligence is more than knowing about how to context. Because a lot of people know a lot of people that, but they can't understand what it is. And it's not the same as intelligence as having a good memory. I don't think so.
When I worked for the civil service, I was told that there are actually rather few that have visualization. It's not nearly as easy.
Can you walk away from it? Yes, towards it? Yes, can you walk away from it? Towards it? Yes. On the way, just move your head away. Ah. Walk away? Yes, what you said, wait, towards it.
That's the whole point.
Away from it. Yeah, and towards it. Away from it. Towards it.
Yes.
Get away. A little bit further. Yeah, and towards it. Side. Yeah, and towards it. A little bit to this side. And then back.
Not exactly.
And
I just have to
yeah. Just do this side. And then
It can be from the middle of the brain too, right?
Yeah, from the middle of the brain.
Yeah, I feel something too out in there.
There's a reading on the ears.
those are very clear. What is not clear is where in the face it comes from.
No, he has in his forehead.
Back over.
Now I understand what to know how the hell that got.
With an injection in the bloodstream.
Yes, that's around, yes. So there's no scar up here. No, not somewhere else. Could be in the blood.
But this one can also be injected directly.
Yeah, I know,
because
but
it's,
I
it's
can
the
hear.
cavity in the brain, the empty zones in the brain. I don't know. Right there are empty. Right there, it's only liquid. We can put it in and then later it sweats. I don't know for sure.
Basically, we got one, but I can't specify what. You've got it basically all over.
Yeah.
so it's.
We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.